So, bathroom flooring. I go to so many handyman jobs, little jobs, where the wrong type of flooring's been used. And I say wrong type, that's my opinion, right? Lino traps water underneath it. I've been to bathroom jobs, they've asked for a mini refurb, and basically you take up the lino, underneath the floor is completely black. You think you're in that bathroom breathing in all that steamy, mouldy air. That's not good for your lungs. As far as I'm concerned, lino is not an appropriate type of flooring for a bathroom, because it is completely reliant on that silicone round the perimeter of the room doing its job. And eventually that silicone fails, it dries out, it cracks, it's not even installed properly in the first place, and what happens is water gets in underneath that floor and stays there forever, and then you get this like damp atmosphere underneath the floor where the water can't get back out, and it turns to black mold, and then the floor rots. Lino, yeah, it's cheap, yeah, it's quick, not a good solution, especially not in buy-to-lets where people might not take care as much as if they owned the property themselves. Laminate flooring, same as lino, more expensive, more difficult to install. Most people can't install it properly. I do laminate floors. I don't do it in kitchens, I don't do it in bathrooms. I turn those jobs down because it's not the right type of flooring. You will find manufacturers and people who say, yeah, this is okay in a wet area, yeah, this is okay, it's waterproof, blah blah blah, but it's the same problem as lino. It's if you roll out a sheet of plastic like lino, or you put a load of bits of flooring together which have got a plastic coating and clip them all together, and then water gets in round the edge, round the back of a pedestal, you know, on a basin, round the toilet where there's pipes coming up, underneath the bath where it's gone underneath the bath front edge and then come under the floor. There's so many weak spots, so many vulnerable places where water can get underneath a floor. Laminate is even worse than lino, because once that gets water in it, it swells up, because it's MDF at the end of the day. It's gluing together wood dust, and it is ruined. It swells up with water and ruined, and you're looking at redoing that whole bathroom floor. So that's two of them that are a big no-no as far as I'm concerned. The best type of flooring that I think you can have in a bathroom is proper tiling. And when I say proper, I mean with an uncoupling membrane. I've got 10 years experience of Schluter Dietramat, or a Weddy board, or Weddy WPS like tanking system. I'm a big fan of their painted on WPS system, which you can get a band like a mesh like you use when you're plasterboarding, and you can put that in corners and vulnerable weak spots, and that reinforces those corners. Then you paint on 2 layers of this thick paint, and I say paint it on, you're pretty much troweling it on, you're putting it on so thick. You put 2 layers, one going that way and one going that way, so they're crisscross, so there's, if you've missed anything on one of the layers, it's covered on the next layer, so to speak, and that is a fully tanked flooring system, and then you're good to go tiling on top of it. And it does the uncoupling, so if you have a wooden floor, let's say chipboard floor, OSB, whatever you want to call it, then it's providing an uncoupling. So if that floor underneath is expanding and contracting, and the tiles obviously are not expanding and contracting as fast, they do move but not as much as wood, then they should be able to slide independently. They're not going to stop movement like up and down, so if you've got cracks and movement on the floor, any cracks in the floor are going to come up through the tiles, but that's a separate kettle of fish. You could go on to like hardy backer boards or weddy boards or something like that to try and stop movement then. Otherwise you'd be looking at reinforcing the floor properly. But that is, in my opinion, the best solution. It's going to last theoretically forever. You might need to re-grout it, you might need to re-silicone it, but you're not going to get water trapped underneath it, and you're not going to have problem after problem and have to redo the whole floor coating. Pretty much never. You're not going to have to do that. The tiles will last forever. You might have to, like I said, re-grout or re-silicone every now and then. That's going to be more expensive, and you'll be looking at doing that when you do a full bathroom refurb. Get those tiles in before the toilet, before the sink with the pedestal that sits down, even before the bath, and do the whole floor, around the whole room, square room, right up to the walls, done. Even put the bath on top of it, everything. Really best way to do it, and I always advise to do the same for kitchens as well. The other solution, and I don't install this, so I haven't got so much experience. I think it's a specialist thing for flooring people. The other solution is, I've forgotten the name now, it's gone off the top of my head. Oh, that's annoying, I'm going to have to come back to it. LVT, luxury vinyl tile. So it's a little bit like slicing up loads of tiles of lino, but instead of it being lino, it's a thicker, stronger material, and it's glued down. So with it being glued down, unlike a lino, you shouldn't get the water underneath it. And where it's tiles, if you do have a problem with one or two bits, you can take up a tile and stick another one back down. The glue is, I think, heat activated, so you use like a hairdryer or a heat gun, heat it up, and then you can take up a bit of flooring and put a replacement bit down. And again, I would advise doing that before toilets, sinks and all that sort of stuff go in, so you don't have to have these funny little cuts around things. But also, if you ever change your bathroom in the future, you just take it off, put it back on, and the floor doesn't need to get changed. The reason I say LVT is because not only is it glued down, but also you'll probably have to do some floor prep, like put down some sheets of thin plywood or something, and you've got the opportunity to then put some tanking, some waterproofing on that nice smooth plywood floor that you've put down, waterproof it, and then seal round with silicone. You're still relying on silicone so that water doesn't get underneath, but water can't really get underneath because the tiles are glued down. So even if that silicone around the perimeter fails, then that water would go to the perimeter and then it wouldn't track underneath the flooring. So in my opinion, that's the only two types of flooring that are really suitable. You have got a third option, and that's if you've got nice wooden floorboards, Victorian property for example, then I would always say if you've got nice wooden floorboards, don't tile on top of them, don't put LVT on top, because LVT just looks like fake wood at the end of the day. You've already got the floor there, sand it, fill all the joints, sand it, and varnish. The best quality tough varnish you can have, and you're not going to get water underneath it because there's nothing underneath it. It is the floor, so you're not putting layers and layers and having problems and things going underneath. That's the three best ones. So if you've got a chipboard floor, I would say some sort of tanking system, and then tile or LVT. And if you've got floorboards, I would always go with sand them, varnish them, fill every little joint and gap possible, silicone around the edge if necessary. But there you go, there's your three options for bathrooms. Anything else, as far as I'm concerned, destined to fail.